Hello and welcome. My name is Awab Ali, and today I'll be talking about a very prominent issue in the field of engineering. This issue can be seen both in the working side of engineering and the studying side of engineering. This issue is the huge lack of diversity. As for decades, both the schooling and the working side of engineering has been dominated by white and Asian males. But in this video, I'll be talking about ways of combating this lack of diversity, and in particular, combating the lack of gender diversity in the field. I'll start off by looking at from a school perspective on how I would increase the amount of attending and graduating female students, and then looking at it from a perspective of an employer on how I would attract and retain these working females. But you would ask, why is gender diversity an important thing? Why should we care? Well, here's a few reasons why. Talent. There is a huge abundance of talent that is missing because of this divide, because of this almost gatekeeping. It is because there is a much higher ratio of male to female. That means there are a bunch of there's a huge gap that could be filled by a bunch of very, very talented women that would increase the total amount of talent and the total outcome of the entire engineering field, pushing humanity forward. Another thing is from the business perspective. An article I found on CNBC shows that some Fortune 500 companies that have a higher concentration of upper level women have a higher make higher profit and experience this thing called a surge in creativity. And the third and last point is having more employees or having just a higher ratio of male to female in both schools and workspaces. This causes a workspace or a school to become more desirable as there is a higher ratio of people who are alike. A female might feel secluded if she is in a workspace or in a school space that is mainly dominated by men. But she might feel a little bit more comfortable if there's a whole lot of other women that are supporting her and helping her. Diversity in the engineering field, we must first identify the roots of the problem. This problem of diversity stems from two main reasons. First of them is intimidation. A lot of women feel too intimidated by the nature of engineering. And second being cultural barriers. A lot of more rural cultures don't push the development and improvement of women, as a lot of these cultures push for more manly development, as they see the man as a main source of income rather than the woman. I'll first talk about the intimidation part though. The intimidation part mostly stems from them looking at these professions. For example, the two most popular being mechanical and electrical. They would take a glance over it, and they would be very intimidated as they see it as work that requires a lot of power tools and a lot of heavy equipment, which makes the field look like a quote unquote man's field. But they do not understand that there is so much more to engineering, and it's not only males that can use these heavy equipment. There is no statistical proof that males are inherently better at using power tools or using heavy equipment. But engineering isn't all about heavy equipment and power tools. Engineering is so much uh, deeper than that, as it allows us to innovate. It allows us to create new things that will help in the advancement of humanity as a whole. The second root of the problem being cultural. Me being from an African family or of African culture, and I've lived 10 years of my life in an African country, there is a lot of suppression against females fully graduating out of college, and it is pushed by these more rural cultures that they rather get married and stay home and take care of children instead of benefiting themselves and potentially becoming a second source of income or even the main source of income. Now, I'll be talking about potential solutions and what is currently being done and what could be done when trying to combat this lack of gender diversity in the field of engineering. Well, we have actually made huge strides in the the gap that is caused by this lack of gender diversity. Previously in the 1980s, the amount of engineers uh, that were women were only 5.8% of the engineering working force. But currently, we have been able to raise that number from 5.8 to 14%, which is a huge development. And according to an article I found on the University of California Riverside website, it is projected to increase to 16% by the next 7 years. And according to the same website, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers is helping to further raise this number by going in and trying to remove the intimidation factor from youth by targeting uh, children that are from the kindergarten up until the 12th grade and help them and encourage them to eventually pursue a career in engineering, thus removing man the Mansfield filter that has been keeping this gender scarcity solid. It was because there was this thought that it's only for males or only men can work as mechanical engineers, as I've said earlier. But with these programs, they're helping them they're helping to nullify the effect of this intimidation, so can become uh, everyone's field rather than only a man's field. And they're also helping to combat the second factor of the problem that I've talked about earlier, which is the cultural, the gender stereotype that all women should stay home and raise their kids and should not worry about trying to get money or work. But they're helping to fight this stereotype to eventually produce more productive people into society, further pushing humanity as a whole together. As for schools, a lot of schools, including Hall High School that I've went to, had a lot of programs that were targeted more towards females, like women in STEM, and that was a almost like a program that helped push this factor of intimidation away. So a lot of so a lot of these young women would go in without the intimidation of them being alone, so they can rest assured knowing that a lot of their fellow females are also interested, and they would all go and try to attend the school together, further increasing the amount of engineers in the field. This is extremely effective, as with more women, it's almost like a snowball effect. With more women, the higher the ratio of females, the more females will feel more inclined to go there because, hey, look, it's not only males that could be engineer. My friend here, she is studying to become an engineer. I can do this too. And in my opinion, that is a very, very uh it's a very solid way of going, since it causes this snowball effect. It can take care of itself once it's rolling. As for the employee part, as an employee, I would try to make my recruiters uh more of a 50-50 split. So if I'm sending out recruiters, I would make it that there are an equal amount of males to females, so they would have this almost the same feeling with schools. Hey, in this company, it's not only males, it's both males and females. So I'll go join this company because there are other females working there, which can help us all together. This is the end of my segment. Thank you very much.